All right, first and foremost, give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, who rule well and who's worthy to be counted for double honors. Peace and salutations to you brothers out there pushing this truth wholeheartedly and sincerely and full of the gospel. It's the brother Gabaria from the Indiana camp coming back at you, get one of the sit down. And real quick, I ain't gonna make this too long. I just wanted to expound a little bit on this scripture right here. I was laying in my bed and I just was, reading and came across this right here, and I just wanted to do a quick video on it. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 4. It says, "No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life. It says that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier." You see? Now, the reason why I wanted to, do a video about this is because certain things, certain worries that we might have in this life, sometimes we just, we have to leave it. We have to just chalk it up to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right. Because right now we're in a war, right now we're in a spiritual war of good versus evil. We're in a transition of power. The downfall of Esau's kingdom and the uplifting of the Israelites, which is the good kingdom to come. All right. So a lot of affairs of this life that that normally people would care about, it was what their livelihood, their jobs, their family, their children, woman, how to eat, how to survive. A lot of these things we're not gonna have basically to be worried about. We're not gonna care about them in a way. So a lot of these things we're just gonna have to cast our burdens upon the Lord. If the Lord wants your children to be delivered, He's gonna make sure they're okay. If He wants your woman to be delivered, He's going to make sure that they're cool. How we're going to eat, how we're going to drink. All these cares that we have that we worry about, eventually it's going to come down to a time where we're going to have to just cast those upon the Lord, where we're going to have to completely and utterly rely on His salvation, on His mercy. And if you being part of that of His elect, He's going to make sure you're okay. But what, man, right now we're not how I want to say to get really entangled, with your job, with your children, with your family. Like these things, when we're in war, you don't supposed to be worrying about these things. You're not supposed to be all caught up in everyday livelihood, as basically the average so-called American does, where he goes to work and he makes a living for himself, and he takes care of his wife, and take care of his children. He does all that. Now, I'm not saying not to do that. We do that, but we also understand that we're at war, and that war, comes first. As it says in the second part, it says that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier. So Yahweh Bashem Yahushua has chosen each single one of us to do forth a job. And we have to, worry about that job and making sure the job is getting done before anything else that comes to our life. Like I said, if you're a man of the Lord and you take this truth sincerely, the Lord's going to make sure everything else is going to work out. He's going to make sure your children are safe. He's going to make sure your woman is okay. He's going to make sure y'all have food. He's going to make sure that y'all have clothes and shelter. If you truly believe that you were called into this truth to serve Yahweh Shem Yahshua in sincerity and pure of heart, then guess what? The Lord's gonna watch. The Lord's gonna look out for you and your own. But what you have to put the work first. You have to make sure that you're not too far gone. Now, I wanted to read this in the Amplified version as well. Slakia. All right, this is 2 Timothy 2 and 4 again, but Amplified version. It says, "No soldier in active service gets entangled in the ordinary business or affairs of civil life. He avoids them so that he may please the one who enlisted him to serve." You see? So what, man? He doesn't entangle himself with civil life, as a citizen. You know, you just living your life, la di da. You know, you skipping up the street. You know, you know, you're supposed to be, you know, at war. You know, and when you supposed to, and when you're at war, you're supposed to act a certain way. All right, you're supposed to conduct yourself a certain way. Talking about taking breaks and oh, I don't want to do the work, or I don't want to, you know, I don't want to do, you know, whatever you find your niche is for you to not do, for you to not put your all into this. You need to cut that out. You need to cut that out. You're at war. You see? Oh, whatever you got in your on your what I'm trying to say, whatever you got in your downtime, whatever you do outside this truth, you need to keep you need to keep that secondary. You need to always have that in the back of your mind that comes second. This truth is always to be put on the I was gonna say, you wanted me to say back burner. The truth always be to put on the front end. You know, you always have this on the front side of your mind. And there's a lot more that goes into it, man. A lot more. There's certain works and duties that you have to do to be part of a camp. Making sure you're checking the the group. You know, whatever group chat you in, make sure you're checking the group chat. Making sure you're praying. Making sure you're staying faithful. Making sure you're fasting. Make sure you're examining yourself. You know, making sure you're reading, watching videos. It's a lot. It's literally a lifestyle. You know, but it's a lifestyle that you what? So that ye may please the one who enlisted him to serve. You see, you were called to serve, man. In order to please Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you have to cast off that civil lifestyle to be a so-called citizen, or you trying to be a simple lifestyle. You need to cast that. You need to cast that mindset out of there. You were called to please. You were called to serve, and serve you must. All right, but that's all I had. Like I said, I don't even want to make this video too long. You know, I just wanted to do quick expound on that scripture. You know, it stuck out to me. So, Lord willing, this view is edifying for you, brothers. Until next time, shalom.